It's 2018. One of the most anticipated rap albums of the year, Astroworld, finally drops. The standout track is the second single, Sicko Mode.
Nothing nice. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, checks over stripes. We back. We back.
And it shoots straight to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. On the song, the featured artist, Drake, casually mentions a 767 with a double bedroom. At the time, nobody thought much of it. Just rap bravado, right? But on a weekend in mid-May the following year, Drake took delivery of what would become one of the most famous private jets in the world. In this video, we're breaking it all down, from the very beginning to the latest interior upgrades. Sit back, because this is the most detailed breakdown of Air Drake you will find anywhere on the internet. The aircraft you're looking at is registered N767CJ. It's a Boeing 767-200ER. Its first flight was in September 1996. It was delivered the following month, October 1996, to its first operator, Mideast Jet, a Saudi Arabian charter airline. Mideast Jet wasn't a commercial carrier running economy seats. It was a VIP charter operation out of Jeddah. This plane was configured for luxury from day one, not rows of passengers, but a small number of people traveling in serious comfort. It stayed there for over 2 decades. 2 decades of Saudi airspace, VIP passengers, Middle Eastern routes. Mideast Jet operated it until August 2018. At that point, the plane was 22 years old, and its next chapter was just beginning. By April 2019, Canadian cargo airline Cargojet Airways had acquired it, re-registering it from its old designation N767KS to what it carries today, N767CJ. That same month, the conversion started. And on May 10, 2019, Cargojet announced its partnership with Drake, providing him the plane, all operations, maintenance, and crew included, in exchange for brand promotion. Drake posted the reveal that same day. By February 2020, the aircraft had logged 11,346 flight hours across 2,823 flight cycles. Almost 25 years of aviation history, Saudi charter flights, multiple owners, 2 registration numbers, before the world ever heard the words Air Drake. Now here's where things get contentious, because on May 10, 2019, Drake posted a walkthrough of the plane on Instagram, and the line he opened with set the tone for everything that followed. No rental, no timeshare, no co-owners. The internet took that at face value. Headlines everywhere called it a purchase, a $185 million acquisition, Drake buying the biggest private jet in hip-hop history. The reality is more complicated, and this is kind of on brand with Drake's commercial deals. There is always room for speculation, a buzz, a rumor. Whether this is a deliberate choice to always hand a bone to the internet to chew on or not, it works either way. And honestly, depending on how you look at it, more impressive. The plane is owned by Cargojet. Drake is their brand ambassador. In exchange, Cargojet assists him with his logistical needs and requirements. The full financial terms of the deal were never publicly disclosed, but aviation analysts and industry observers were quick to point out what that arrangement likely means in practice. Cargojet owns, operates, maintains, and crews the aircraft. Drake flies it. The relationship predates the plane entirely. Drake was first introduced to Cargojet during celebrations for the launch of the company's first Boeing 767-300F, and Cargojet had been hauling supplies and equipment for his tours for years before the partnership became official. This wasn't a cold sponsorship deal. It was a real working relationship that eventually scaled into something unprecedented. So what did Cargojet actually get out of it? Think about it from their side. The plane serves its purpose of promoting both Drake and Cargojet, and the decision to provide the jet makes perfect business sense. Drake and his team regularly post photos and videos on social media, sharing the Cargojet name with a global audience. Every time Air Drake lands at a stadium during a world tour, the Cargojet logo is on the tail. Every paparazzi photo, every aviation forum post, every YouTube video, including this one, is free advertising for a cargo airline that most people outside of Canada had never heard of. But what was later reported was that Cargojet gave him the plane essentially for free in exchange for the ambassadorship. Whether you call that ownership or an extraordinarily generous arrangement is a matter of perspective. What it unquestionably is one of the most creative and lopsided brand deals in corporate history. A cargo company spent somewhere between $100 and $200 million on an asset that doubles as the most famous private jet on the planet. The marketing value they've extracted from it almost certainly exceeds what they spent. Drake called it his. Cargojet holds the title. And both of them walked away from that handshake, richer than before. The aircraft wasn't yet the visual icon the world would come to know. That came later, and it came from someone unexpected. The interior was heavily modified, with the customization reported to have cost Cargojet between $80 and $100 million, bringing the aircraft's total estimated value to around $200 million. A stock 767-200 ER seats over 200 people. Air Drake seats 45 in an all-business configuration. Everything in between, every seat, every wall, every fixture, was stripped and rebuilt from scratch. Then, in March 2020, Virgil Abloh posted 3 photos to Instagram without much warning. The caption read, "The tail number is a problem, and the FBO is a whole other story." The plane had just gotten a full exterior redesign. The new livery drew directly from Drake's 2013 album Nothing Was the Same, blue skies and clouds across the entire fuselage and wings. The praying hands were removed from the tail and replaced with the OVO owl, now standing with the world beneath its feet. Air Drake was painted on the engine cowlings, and on the underside of the aircraft, one more detail. If you're reading this, we left. A nod to Drake's 2015 mixtape. It wasn't a rap, it was a statement. The plane was no longer just large, it was unmistakable. Now, turning a commercial jet into a private one isn't just an interior design project. It's an engineering undertaking, and every single change has to be approved. When you gut a 767 and rebuild the interior from scratch, the aircraft's weight distribution changes fundamentally. A commercial 767 is balanced around hundreds of passengers spread evenly across the cabin, plus luggage loaded symmetrically in the belly. The moment you replace that with a bedroom, a lounge, and custom furniture concentrated in specific areas of the fuselage, engineers have to recalculate the aircraft's center of gravity for every possible load scenario. Who's on board? Where they're sitting? How much fuel is loaded? How bags are positioned? Get that wrong, and the plane handles differently at takeoff. Get it badly wrong, and it doesn't fly safely at all. Then there's certification. Any major structural or interior modification to a certified aircraft requires what's called a Supplemental Type Certificate, an STC. The FAA issues an STC when an applicant receives approval to modify an aeronautical product from its original design. That means engineering drawings, structural analysis, proof of compliance with federal aviation regulations, and a physical inspection of the completed installation, all before the plane can fly. For complex modifications involving structural overhauls, the timeline can extend beyond a year. This is why conversions of this scale take so long and cost so much. In terms of operating cost, the 767 runs approximately $11,850 per hour in total operating costs when factoring fuel, maintenance, crew, and fixed expenses. On a charter basis, the going rate is around $27,250 per hour. A Toronto to Los Angeles flight runs roughly 5 hours. Do the math. Drake described the moment he first stood in that hangar. "When I first got my plane, I was in this hangar. It's like probably one of the craziest moments of my life.
AJ told me, I'm gonna get you the biggest jet in the game out of anybody. Like, it'd be like you and the president. That's it.
Then he looked at the interior and called it old and pink. So he decided to rebuild it. The master bedroom. Drake called it the most important room right off the rip. A king bed. An ensuite bathroom behind mirrored walls. On a commercial 767, you'd be looking at rows of economy seats here. On Air Drake, one person sleeps in a king bed at 35,000 feet. The main lounge features leather recliners, velvet couches, and custom pillows. The interior has since been updated to reflect a cooler, more contemporary mood, now outfitted with purple LED lighting. Drake described the new direction as more luxurious, warmer, a deliberate contrast to how he remembered it before. Annual operating costs for a Boeing 767 of this kind range from $10 to $15 million, accounting for crew, maintenance, hangar fees, insurance, and fuel. That's the cost of keeping it in the air, every year, regardless of how much it actually flies. This is not a jet with a nice bedroom. This is a building that happens to have wings. The global business jet market is projected to grow from $50.6 billion in 2026 to $72.27 billion by 2034. Widebody conversions are a growing piece of that. What was once the exclusive domain of governments and billionaires is now a market segment with active demand, active competition, and active development pipelines. None of that is Drake's doing alone. But Air Drake made the wide-body private jet visible to an audience that had never looked at that world before. It put a 767 on Instagram. It gave a cargo plane a cultural identity. And in doing that, it pulled an entire class of aircraft out of the shadows of royal fleets and into the public imagination, where it has stayed ever since.